What's up, world-renowned family? Welcome to the 2-6. I am your host, Neil Oates Jr. We have another exciting and insightful show in store for you this episode. Today, we're talking all about influence. In fact, becoming a person of influence. Now, we are aware that we are living in a time, in a day and age of influencers, where everyone wants to be an influencer, have influence, leverage influence, but maybe not even truly understand what influence is. So we're just going to start out this episode by asking a few questions of you that I'm going to pose to you aloud here. And I'm going to ask you to ask these questions of yourself. So let me just jump out of the gate with this. What could change in your life if you developed your influence? Now, we're talking about your professional or your personal life. So what could change in your life if you intentionally developed your influence? How would your family life change? How would your social life change? What would life be like professionally for you? Another question we're going to ask right on the back of that is, what effectiveness would you add? How could you improve your effectiveness if your influence increased? I think this is one of the things that many of us want to do. We want to be more effective in everything we do. We just don't necessarily know how to achieve that. Now, what would some weaknesses be that you might subtract if you became more influential? Because ultimately, I know you might not admit it, but we're family here. That's why I call you all the world-renowned family. But this is a safe space, and if we are going to be honest with ourselves and with each other, we really do have to come to the realization that all of us want to be more influential. Now, few of us will say, hey, I want to have influence on everyone that I come in contact with, but some of us are at home enough and comfortable enough with ourselves to say, I really do wish I had more influence. I believe that if I had more influence, life would be different. Now, dare I say easy. We don't want to make that mistake, but I do believe that if I lived life with greater influence, it might be different. I could see different results. I might see better interaction with those around me. So we're just going to look at, today, 3 things that influencers have. And so the first one is going to be, a person of influence has integrity with people. Now, this is probably not what you're seeing and what you're thinking about when you hear the word influencer. Now, I'm talking about a true influencer, not just someone by today's standards is an influencer, maybe on social media that has a lot of following or a loud voice, but a true person of influence. And to become a person of influence, you want to have integrity with people. And to gain integrity with people, you must multiply, mentor, motivate, and model that out. Now, that's a mouthful of M's. So M and M and M and M. So to gain integrity with people, you as a person, as a business owner, as an individual, as a husband, wife, significant other, son, daughter, friend, colleague, you must multiply, mentor, motivate, and model. And I think that the beginning is that we must really identify what integrity means to you. So we're just going to point out some meaning, some pieces of integrity and what it looks like in the grand scheme of things here today. So real integrity is all about the small things. I believe there are many people who believe and attest to this saying as well, show me how you do anything and I'll know how you do everything. So integrity is the foundation on which many other qualities are built. We're always talking about the height of towers and how big we want to grow or develop. But very few people today in business or in life are focused on the depth of the foundation. And that's what real integrity is. Real integrity is a focus on those small things. So it's the foundation on which many other qualities are built. And then integrity commits itself to character over personal gain, principles over convenience, to the long view over the immediate. So immediately when I read those, someone probably came to your mind who has positioned themselves in a public view as an influencer, but they lack character, they don't have principles, and they are near or short-sighted in everything that they do. But we're not here to talk about them. We're here to focus on us and to grow and develop ourselves so that we can improve and actually become a true person of influence. And as we're talking about integrity, let me just remind you here that now is the time for each of us as world-renowned individuals to take a look in the mirror, for us to go in and say, integrity truly is an inside job. Integrity is not determined by circumstances. It's not based on credentials. Character comes from who you are, and integrity is not to be confused with reputation. For many years, when I was starting my real estate business, it sounded good, right? So I had this saying that said that all we have is our time and our reputation, time and reputation. And then as I developed and as, my mind started to be broadened to what is happening around us, and I got better influences and mentors, I started saying, well, reputation is what others say about me, but my integrity and my character are what I know to be true about myself. So do we all have the same amount of time? Yes, and I value that. But now, to be completely frank with you, I don't concern myself with my reputation, because my reputation is someone else's opinion of me. What I do concern myself with, and I'll challenge you to be consumed by this as well, is your integrity. When you look in the mirror right now, do you like who you see? Or should I even ask you, do you know who it is that you're looking at? How intimately are you entwined with the person that you're looking at in the mirror? So once again, integrity is not determined by circumstances. Integrity is not based on credentials, and integrity is not to be confused with reputation. Integrity is much, much greater. So these are going to be some quick questions for you to ask yourself to help you measure your level of integrity. Because as we mentioned, if you want to be influential and have true influence in any and every area of your life, you're going to have to gain integrity with people. So how well do you treat people who you can gain nothing from? If you show me how you treat the least of them, and if you all are with me, we're coming straight from the good book, the great book, as I like to call it. If you show me how you treat the least of them, I will know everything I need to know about your character. So how well do you treat people from whom you can gain nothing? Are you transparent with others? Do you quickly admit wrongdoings without being pressed to do so? Now, this next question is one that I love so much that I'm going to put this in first person. Do I make difficult decisions even when they have a personal cost attached to them? And, why you're here is going to be an answer to this question right here in the affirmative. Am I accountable to at least one other person for what I think, say, and do? And if we just look in today's environment, what if everyone was accountable to at least one other person for what they thought, what they said, and what they did? Then how would our world be changed? How would our businesses, how would our lives and our families be impacted? Abraham Lincoln had a saying. It says, when I lay down the reins of this administration, I want to have one friend left, and that friend is inside myself. Hopefully, all of us can have that same friend inside of ourselves when we do look in the mirror. The benefit of integrity, since we're talking about having integrity with people, the benefits of integrity are going to be the following. It is trust. When you're a person of integrity, you are someone that others can trust, someone that people can look at and say, I trust them. You have to model consistency of character. Trust can only develop when people trust you all the time. There is no such thing as partial or part-time trust. So there's one of the things that we want to do as a person of influence. We want to be sure that we have integrity with people. The next characteristic that we're going to cover today for a person of influence is, you need to be a person that nurtures other people. And the way that you nurture other people is, I think first we need to understand what it means to nurture. People must be cared for, not just physically, but emotionally. How well do you care for others? Now, I'm not asking you to be a nurse or a caregiver. I am asking you to consider the well-being of those around us. At the heart of all nurturing is a genuine concern for others. Now, I know everything that we're covering that we're going over in this episode seems counterintuitive, but it's not. It is countercultural, because at the heart of all nurturing is a genuine concern for others. Now, I know that as an influencer, the first thought is, well, it's all about me, me, me. How can I use my voice, my face, my opinion, or my position to influence the masses? But the best of us, the best of the influencers are not influencing others until they've been influenced by others and by the masses. People are influenced most by those that make them feel the best about themselves. So if you truly want to become a person of influence, what if you just nurtured other people and made them feel good about themselves? Made them feel as good as possible, the best they possibly could feel about themselves. I want you to think back and just consider, think about your grade school, middle school, elementary school days. Think about those people, however long ago it was. Think about the people who've had the greatest positive influence in your life. Now, they may not have been a great man or woman, but it is very likely that they were someone who made you feel that you were a great young man or young woman. An influencer is a giver. Now, we're talking about a nurturing influence, is a giver. As a nurturer, you focus more on giving than getting. Now, I know you're thinking, hey, Neil, we were talking about becoming a person of influence. I want to grow my influence, the changes and the positive impacts it would have on my life. Now you're telling me to be a nurturer? Yes, I am. They do go hand in hand. Encouragement is referred to as oxygen to the soul. So one of the ways that we can nurture and we can give to others is to be an encourager, to give encouragement, because William Ward had made a statement. It said, "Flatter me and I may not believe you. Criticize me and I may not like you. Ignore me and I may not forgive you. Encourage me and I will not forget you." So when William Ward said those words, he was absolutely hitting the nail on the head. And those are going to be positive words and things for us to remember. So how do we become a nurturer? How do we become an influential nurturer, or a nurturer that has positive influence on others? The first thing that we must do is that we have to change and focus on our thought pattern. So cultivate a positive attitude of other-mindedness. That means that when we go out into the world, that our focus, as hard or as difficult, or should I even say as unusual as it may be, should be to look and think of others first. Because we mentioned a little earlier that the greatest influencers are those who have first been influenced by others. And here's how we become other-mindedness. Commit to them, whoever them is. Commit to them, whoever them is, whoever they are. Whoever you want to have an influence on, commit to them. Now, what your commitment looks like may be different. In the business world, your commitment to them may be your team or work group. It might be to your clients or to colleagues. It could be to your employers, but commit. Then we want to be sure that we believe in them. Belief is one of the most powerful forces in all of the world. So once we believe in them, that's going to go a long way, and it's going to help us in our attitude of other-mindedness. We want to be accessible to those that we are looking to nurture and influence. And then we're going to give with no strings attached. Now, we've heard this, be a giver. Don't expect anything in return. And one of the things that we want to give are going to be opportunities. I read a meme just the other day. It said a true friend is someone who would mention your name in a room full of opportunities and expect nothing in return. And so I believe that a true influencer is going to do the exact same thing, that they would mention your name, that they would think of you in a room full of opportunities and expect nothing in return. And then here's the last thing that we're going to do to become other-minded. It's going to lift others to a higher level. How can we do that? You know, Walt Disney is reported to have said, there are three kinds of people in the world. There are well poisoners who discourage others, stomp on their creativity, and tell them what they can't do. There are lawn mowers, people who have good intentions but are self-absorbed, who mow their own lawns but never help others. And there are life enhancers. The last category contains people who reach out to enrich the lives of others, who lift them up and inspire them. So today, I just want to encourage you to be a life enhancer, to be a nurturer, so that we can move to becoming a person of influence. Now, the third trait, the third characteristics of an influential person is going to be a person that has faith in people. Yes, I said it and I will say it again. In order to be an influencer, you must have faith in people. Faith in people is an essential quality of an influencer when working with others. You know, I believe that it is difficult, dare I say impossible, to be influential. Or should I say to be positively influential without having faith in people. You know, and so there are 4 facts about faith that I'm going to share with you right now. Most people don't have faith in themselves. Now, I know you're going to say, well, Neil, that's definitely not me. But was it ever? The next thing, most people don't have someone who has faith in them. So not only do they not believe in themselves, some people don't have anyone else that believes in them. So let's look at fact number 3. Most people can tell when someone has faith in them. They will attempt the impossible if you demonstrate faith in them. The goal is always to get them to think more highly of themselves and not you. Now, that was a lot, right? And we're going to just come right back around, circle around in just a moment. But fact number 4, most people will do anything to live up to your faith in them. And so those are 4 facts about faith in people. And so now we see how we can use this principle of faith and the power of faith to increase our influence with others. So I'm going to read those 4 facts again. Most people don't have faith in themselves. Most people don't have someone who has faith in them. Most people can tell when someone has faith in them. They will attempt the impossible if you demonstrate faith in them. And then number 4, most people would do anything to live up to your faith in them. And this is where in the business world, parenting, in relationships, or any sports teams, we see this next idea come to life. And in, sports, we'll just use sports today, where we are seeing where our children and our athletes are not being as competitive. They're not coming out as well groomed and defined and ready for life's hard knocks because of a lack of this next thing called expectations. People rise or fall to meet your level of expectations for them. Do you agree with that statement, or do you disagree? When was the time that you had some of the greatest expectations placed on you? How did you respond? When you have faith in other people, you actually give them an incredible gift. So when you put that expectation on someone else, we tend to think that our expectations are a bad thing. They could be, but not all of the time. If we set high expectations, most people rise or fall to the level of the expectations that we, as the leader, as the head of the group, as a friend, colleague, as a son or daughter, family member, right? So most people are going to rise or fall to the level of the expectations that we have in them. So believe in other people. So we talk about the idea of faith, right? Faith is more than thinking something is true. Faith is thinking something is true to the extent that we act on it, right? So belief, yeah, okay, I believe it, but do you believe it enough to act on it? If you believe that you can change, if you believe that you can become a person of influence, that you can generate the income that you want to, that you can have the sales that you want, if you can have the impact with your family and change the marriage or the relationship, if you want to get yourself in better physical shape, it's going to take more than believing. It's going to take faith. So faith is thinking something is true to the extent that we act on it. And this is where I just want to ask you a question right now. What have you believed to be true that you haven't acted on so far in your life? Up to this point in your life, what have you said you believed? But if I were to look at your life or your bank statement or your weight or your calendar or your relationships, what would I say? You say you believe it, but you haven't acted upon it yet. So I believe there's a lack of faith there. And I only pose that question to you because I asked myself that very same question in preparation for this episode. And that's why, as a result of that, we're having this episode. So how to become a believer in people. Believe in them before they succeed. Emphasize their strengths. Praise them for what they do well privately and publicly. List their past successes. Instill confidence when they fail. I am a believer that do we need to acknowledge failure? Yes, we do. But we also want to give people permission to fail and then help them gain all of the lessons that they can out of that failure. We want to visualize their future success. Expect a new level of living. Putting your faith in others involves taking a chance. Are you willing to take a chance on someone else today in order for you to positively impact and positively influence them and their lives? Because if so, then I believe that your belief has turned into faith because it has demonstrated action. If you enjoyed this episode today, I want to encourage you to be right back here. Tune in next week for the next episode as we dive into 3 more characteristics of people who want to become a people. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to tune in to the next episode where we're going to continue looking at characteristics of influential people, becoming a person of influence. And that's going to be whether you are talking personally, professionally, family life, or business. If you want to become a real person of real lasting positive influence, be sure to check us out right here. Until the next time we check in here on the 2-6, I'm going to encourage you to visit worldrenownedcoaching.com. Look at all the information there. Sign up for one of the discovery calls. Follow our YouTube channel. Go in, listen to more episodes on this podcast because we believe that we're going to help you get to where you want to be so you can do more, reach higher, and be better in everything it is that you do. Until the next time I see you or you see me, remember, don't be average. Be world renowned. I love you. God loves you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.